I also need to take a step where women can connect to me not only for their medical health but also for things like this when we talk about violence against women. And what have you seen? What did you experience that you had to come here and do such a wonderful job?
We find that we obstetricians and gynecologists are the first point of contact for women in pain and pleasure. That's the reason I think we need to be very empathetic to women with whatever issues they have.
Yes.
Anybody is talking about violence against women, who is it that you want to make aware? It should be the person who is inflicting the violence. So then I said, how is it that you can take it to the public? You have to do a social campaign. Let's do a cyclothon. So I said, let's say Dheera. Dheera means courage. Courage to say no to violence against women.
Like I was reading one of your study where you said that COVID epidemic was one of the reasons where the domestic violence increased. So I'm sure with so many researchers and experience, you will have so many other things to share with us. So can you tell me about this journey, ma'am?
Violence against women was a silent pandemic in the COVID pandemic. People who were affected by violence were in close proximity with the people who were doing the violence because they were not going out, they didn't have a safe space. So the incidence of violence increased so much. There are so many countries. See, you may be in any part of the world, but one thing which connects all women unfortunately, is the violence against women. Don't think that you are in the developed country, women are safe. No, not at all. So every country globally has this violence.
Dheera, courage, resilience, strength, शक्ति, हम सब के अंदर होता है ये. बट कभी कभी हम बिकॉज ऑफ सिचुएशन, सर्कमस्टेंसेस, रिलेटिव्स, प्रेशर, पेरेंट्स, इसकी वजह से ये शक्ति जो हमारे अंदर है वो कहीं खो जाता है. और तब हमें ज़रूरत होती है कुछ ऐसे लोगों की, कुछ ऐसे आसपास हमारे एक शक्ति की जो हमारे अंदर की शक्ति को बाहर ला सके. एंड दिस इज वॉट वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट इट. Welcome to my podcast Rise and Shine with Dr. Meenal Chandra, and you all know कि my podcast is all about women health. आज का दिन बहुत important है because अभी जो भी information social media में चल रहा है about domestic violence, what we see around, it's very disturbing. And today with me, not just social media feminism, a true feminist की तरह हमारे पास एक medical practitioner who has more than 30 years of experience just talking to women, finding out their reasons of medical health और उनसे बात करना, उनकी फैमिली को समझने के लिए मेरे पास है आज हमसे बात करने के लिए डॉक्टर एस शांता कुमारी मैम. मैम, थैंक यू so much to come here and talk about it. She is a gynecologist, practicing gynecologist obstetrician in Yashoda Hospital in Hyderabad with more than 3 decades of experience. But the main thing, what is the interesting factor, she is the founder of Dheera. Dheera is a campaign about violence against women. And आज मैम इसके बारे में बात करेंगे. So मैम, welcome to our show. And so much I'm thankful to you कि आपने इतने short notice में you have come here. Thank you so much मैम. Please बताइए about Dheera.
Thank you, Meenal. It's a pleasure to be here. And I really appreciate the passion in you to try to do some podcasts on aspects which are very important for women's health. So I like that passion, apart from your passion to take care of people and relieve them of pain. I think once you understand what it is to be empathetic to women and their problems, and I think you will try to do something where you can alleviate them. Yeah, I am a gynecologist, an obstetrician gynecologist, and I am very happy that I am a gynecologist today because we find that we obstetricians and gynecologists are the first point of contact for women in pain and pleasure.
Yes.
That's the reason I think we need to be very empathetic to women with whatever issues they have.
Yes.
So that is the reason why we obstetrician gynecologists are placed at a different level. And that's the reason why we have been involved with women, because when women come to us, they not only come to us when they have to deal with their health issues, but with any emotional or any other aspect, they turn towards their Dr. Amma, whom they believe and trust. And that is the importance of being an obstetrician and gynecologist.
So, ma'am, अभी आप मुझे ये बताओ कि with so many years of experience, you must have had one point in your life जहाँ पे you must have thought कि no, apart from doing my medical career, I need to take a step ahead, and I also need to take a step where women can connect to me, not only for their medical health but also for things like this where we talk about violence against women. So how did you come to it, ma'am? Like, what encouraged you, and what have you seen? मतलब what did you experience that you had to come here and do such a wonderful job?
Yeah. Actually, when you look back, Meenal, I happen to be the FOXY is the Federation of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the national body of OB-GYNs in India. We have about 50,000 members in India. And I was the All India President in 21 to 22, FOXY National President. And FIGO is our international body, which is a International Federation of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, headquartered at London. It was in 2015 when I was ICOG chair secretary, and Professor Purandare was the president of FIGO. And that was the time they had conceived this FIGO working group on no to violence against women. And Diana Galimberti from Argentina was the chair of that working group. And they made me one of the members of this working group, along with some other members from different parts of the world and WHO, UNFPA, everyone. So when that working group was formed, I was in the beginning wondering, what is it that we can do? We are gynecologists. What is it that we can do to help women to say no to violence against women? What is it? Then I realized the first important thing is advocacy. We have to make our colleagues, obstetrician gynecologists, realize what an important role they play in the lives of the women they serve. So first point I felt was we need to make our members aware of the problem. They're dealing with all clinical issues, they're dealing with non-clinical issues, but we need to actually bring them to focus on this aspect, because the health is revolving around that.
Yes.
So I said, okay, I told Diana Galimberti, I said, Diana, let us do something. Let us try to make this issue very important for our obstetrician gynecologists and see how we can help. And then I realized, because I happen to be a daughter of a gynecologist also, I've seen from my childhood how patients used to come and talk to my mother, not only about their clinical problems, but about the problems they face in their house, from their mother-in-law,
Yeah.
husband, everything.
And in those times, though,
Yes.
doctor used to be the person where you'll discuss everything.
Everything.
Now things have changed.
Things
Yeah.
have changed.
Yeah.
So from that aspect, I said, okay, let's do something. Then I was thinking how to make this, and we need to connect the police, the public, and the lawmakers and the obstetrician gynecologists to the women who are having trouble. Then I said, okay, let's do a campaign. I said, okay, we were sitting in the one meeting, and I decided, okay, let me do something. Let me bring about a campaign and make it loud so that people take notice. See, if anybody is talking about violence against women, who is it that you want to make aware? It should be the person who is inflicting the violence. So the man who is actually doing the violence should be actually made to understand that he's being watched.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So then I said, how is it that you can take it to the public? You have to do a social campaign. I thought, let's do a cyclothon. So I said, let's say Dhira. Dhira means courage. Courage to say no to violence against women. I said, okay, it was in 2016 conference in Hyderabad, HSC. I said, let me do this, start this Dhira initiative. I called Diana, we called everyone internationally. So many people came, and I said, let us do this campaign. Let's do this cyclothon. Then I said, who is going to be in the cyclothon? Of course, the obstetrician gynecologists who have come for the conference. And I said, let's partner with the police. So I called the SHE teams, Bharosa. Swati Lakra was the head of SHE teams that time. And the National Commissioner for Women, Mrs. Lalita Kumaramangalam. Okay. She was there. And Tripurana, who was our Telangana state the Commissioner for Women. And I said, because we need to have all these people, and we call the press and public to take part in the cyclothon. And the most important thing, what I wanted is I wanted the press and TV coverage. Why? Not that I wanted publicity, but this has to be reported in the newspapers and the television, then people watch. Yeah. See, if you're just doing a cyclothon or anything, it has to reach the public, right? And orange is a color which is given by the UN for saying no to violence against women. So wear orange and say no to war. So that was the theme. And only if we are there, who's going to come? Who's going to watch? So I said, we need a celebrity.
Yeah.
If Shanta Kumari and Meenal are going to talk,
No
we'll
one
have
is-
10 people, 50 people. But if you have Shah Rukh Khan or Salman
Yeah.
Khan or whoever now the heroes are there, what Chiranjeevi or the latest guys, I think the Pushpa hero or Ram Charan something, you will have the house full.
Yeah.
You have seen what happened when the movie theater episode.
Pushpa release, yeah.
So that's the reason I said let's collaborate with a celebrity. So once the celebrity comes, then the media come,
Yeah.
and then issue will be brought to the limelight.
Yeah.
That's how we started calling the celebrities to make this issue more public. So first cyclothon was a huge success, and that time I realized, okay, we need to do this,
This, yeah.
continue this.
Yeah.
So from 2015, we started doing this in many places in the country, and many Foxians, obstetrician gynecologists started realizing, yes, this is important, we need to do. And it being a part of the FIGO, I said, now let's do this globally also. There are so many countries. See, you may be in any part of the world, but one thing which connects all women unfortunately, is the violence against women. You may be an American, you may be a South American, you may be an African, European, Indian, Asian, anyone. But everywhere you have this violence against women. Don't think that you are in the developed country, women are safe. No, not at all. So every country globally has this violence. So I said, let's take this moment to the international shores. And 2017, there was this FLASOG, Latin American Society Conference, which was happening in Cancun. So Edgar Ivanotis was the FLASOG president because Diana is from Argentina. I said, Diana, we have to convince the FLASOG to let us do this program. It took me 6 months to convince those Latin American heads, Edgar and all. They said, no. How can you do all this? I said, yes. If you all are there are male gynecologists who are heading FLASOG. I said, if you are a gynecologist, if you are taking care of women's health, you have to talk about this. So finally they agreed and said we did the first Dira program in Cancun, which was in the Latin American Conference, FLASOG. And there again, we had a press meet. They said, we can't do much, we'll do a press meet. And only men were sitting. Then I said, what, you all are only men are sitting? So many gynecologists women, 50% are women gynecologists, but none of them are allowed to go on the podium. He said, oh, you want to sit and talk? I said, yes, we all will share the press meet. Then after they did it, they said, okay, all of you women gynecologists, you all address. Of course, they all speak Spanish. And I spoke in English and there was a translator. I really hope that they translated exactly what I told. That's how it began.
Yeah.
And in 2018, we had the FIGO World Congress in Brazil, where all the 131 countries were participating. That's our annual, once in 3 years, not an annual, once in 3 years Congress that time we had. So the FIGO leadership decided this is a very good program. We have to do this Dhira No to Violence Against Women March in FIGO Congress, because that's where the whole media, the whole world is looking at what FIGO is talking.
Yeah.
Because FIGO is the global voice of women.
Yes.
And again, it took me more than 6-8 months because the Brazil society was not ready. They were saying, oh, and orange was one of the color of the political party.
Oh,
They said,
so
no,
that-
this will become a political issue, but we had to convince them. And finally, FIGO leadership, and we put our foot
points.
down and said, this is our FIGO Congress. If you don't allow us to march on the road, we will do it in the Congress venue.
Okay.
Okay, we will do it here. It's because we were doing bikeathons, cyclathons, walkathons outside. Then it became okay, and we called, and in there, the commissioner of police in Rio was a woman.
Oh,
And we invited her as the chief guest for the program. And that's where all the societies came forward. So after the main General Assembly, we invited all the leaders. I said, all of you come and participate in this so that you can go back to your country and tell your fellow OB-GYNs.
Yes.
And there I realized that this violence against women is not there only in our countries. It is there in all the countries, because the European people, the Americans, then every Africans, everyone was saying, yes, we have this problem, we have this problem. And then I realized how very important that we take this issue globally.
Yeah.
Because it is not only physical, mental, psychological, and where a woman doesn't have a choice to decide about her sexual and reproductive rights.
Yes.
So all are different forms of violence against women,
Yes.
which we have to say no to.
So, ma'am, how difficult, like you have been talking about it, but how difficult was it from 2015 to come 2026, make to come so long? Because you have done a lot of researches, and the thing that you was mentioning that some 3 lakh girls were educated about it, and now you have your thing where you want to get it incorporated with the government and want to make it mandatory. So, how difficult is it, ma'am? And what is the next step? What is the next vision? And what change have you seen, ma'am? Like, from 2015 to 26, like I was reading one of your study where you said that COVID epidemic was one of the reason where the
Yes.
domestic violence increased. So I'm sure with so many researches and experience, you will have so many other things to share with us. So can you tell me about this journey, ma'am?
Yes. Meenal, it was in the COVID time. 2021 to 22, I was the president of Fox.
Foxy, yeah.
And if you remember, in 2020, the pandemic year, COVID, we have seen another silent pandemic. Violence against women was a silent pandemic in the COVID pandemic. Because that was the period where the people who were affected by violence were in close proximity with the people who were doing the violence, because they were not going out, they didn't have a safe space. So the incidence of violence increased so much. In fact, there are many countries, in fact, France was giving rooms for women who were having this issue so that they could go and stay separate from the person who is inflicting the violence. Malaysia also, there were so many people. The government came about with some proposals where they could help women who had been affected by the domestic violence, especially in the COVID pandemic. And that was a time where globally everyone realized that this is a problem. Till then, everyone was, it was in the background, hidden. It was like hush hush and all. Yeah. But COVID brought it out into the limelight, and that was a time where I also became the president of Foxy in India, and that was a time where I actually became the FIGO treasurer also. I was the first Indian to be the FIGO treasurer, first Indian and the first woman of color to be the FIGO treasurer. And as the Foxy president, I said, what is it my theme for women? I said, let me do something. We have been doing all these public awareness programs, but we have to bring about the changes. We have to catch hold of the youngsters, the young girls and boys, because they should grow up into a gender neutral society. So I said, why not talk about this violence against women to this 9th to 12th class students? And that's how I thought about this. I was walking in the Indira Park and I thought, what is it that I can do? Then I said, why don't I do this school education program? I said, let's do this. That time was the first time where this online classes everything, because of the COVID. Everything was, which we didn't have the platform. Yeah. So it was easier to actually reach to the students across the country. I said, okay, let me do this Dira school program, a 2-hour program, where we talk about what is violence and why no girl should accept the violence and things. Then I thought, okay, if I'm going to do a school certification program, what is it which should make the students also interested, no? Yeah. If you just tell them attend the program, they're not interested. Give them a certificate, they're happy. Okay. And if you give them a certificate of Foxy also, they're not very interested. You have to give them a certificate which they will value. Yeah. So children, at that time, they will value a WHO or a UNICEF certificate. Yeah. Then I collaborated with UNICEF India, and I said, let's do this online school certification program. So UNICEF collaborated and we created the model and we trained our OB-GYNs, more than 5,000 gynecologists in the country. We trained almost 5,000 to 6,000 teachers, because the module was done by the group. It was very simple module, 2-hour program. We talked about peer pressure, what violence is, why they should not accept it. And end of the program, we wanted the girls to become strong, so that if they have seen the mother or anybody suffer with violence, they should not grow up thinking it's okay, I have to accept. The same time, the boys, if they've seen the father or anyone do this sort of violence, they should not think it's my right to do violence. No. So that should be the change which we should get in the young brains, so they grow up to be gender neutral. Yeah. So it was for both boys and girls. It was not only for girls, because we need a gender neutral society. Yes, yes. And all the obstetrician gynecologists were started with the online. We went on into hybrid model, then physical module as the COVID was opening. and there was so much experience. It is, see, this success of the program is not mine. It is the hard work of my obstetrician gynecologist Foxy
Society,
members in
yes.
the
Yeah.
country. So they have in the, because every society, we have now almost about 300 societies. So every place will have an Foxy affiliated society. Doctors are most well connected. They will have teachers, principals
Yeah,
who
yeah.
are their patients.
Yes, yes.
So through them,
Them it is
they used
easier
it was easier to
to
go.
infiltrate the society.
And then I felt there should be two hours is not much in the whole curriculum of a child's education.
Yeah.
No? If 2 hours can be made mandatory by the government of India's education board. I think this should be an ongoing where we talk about it and make it a part of the child's curriculum to grow up to say no to violence.
So it's
against women.
incorporated while they're learning it. They should know
Yes.
that no, this is no means
Yes.
I have to stand by it.
Yes, that is so. That was the idea behind that, and that's how we started the Dira program.
Ma'am, Abhi, you have been into it. No, now there are so many things. There will be so many discussions happening that we should not be doing this. We should not tolerate. If there is anything, reach out for help. But let us just go deep into it to understand that why women do it, ma'am. Like, what have you understood that why women suffer, or any kind of suffering, not only the physical assault, sometimes even having a control over your money, sometimes taking a decision of sexual intimacy is always overtaken by the husband, or sometimes being isolated, like you're married somewhere and then you're being isolated from the family. So these are also a part of violence.
Yes.
So, what have you understood, ma'am, that why women suffer? Like, is it because of the pressure, or they feel that, the society is going to judge? There has to be some point that, women must be feeling. So,
actually, Minal, as you look at it, violence is not only domestic violence,
Yeah.
it's any physical,
Yes.
psychological, and denying her sexual and reproductive rights. As an obstetrician gynecologist, if you ask me, there are now so many countries where they have made abortion illegal. Okay. In fact, I am telling you, we have to be very proud as Indians because we are one of the few countries where way back in 1971 we have the MTP Act.
MTP Act.
The government has legalized medical termination of pregnancy, of course, with the indicated reasons.
Yeah.
But that gives the woman her sexual and reproductive right.
Right.
Now, who is
Yeah.
going to decide when that woman is going to think that she's going to be ready for pregnancy, or now she doesn't want, so she wants a contraception, or if there was a failure of contraception, or whatever the problem, she would like to have a termination of pregnancy. Who's going to decide? Is it going to be the husband? Is it going to be the mother-in-law? Is it going to be the neighbor, family? Or is it going to be the government? I think end of the day, it should be the woman who has to be given that final decision because it's her body. Of course, yes, men need to be a partner of that. But when you look at the whole this thing, women should be given
Yeah.
their due right to decide what they want.
Yes.
And everyone, it's a policymakers. I think it's a prerogative to see that women have to be given this right.
Right.
I think a few years back, you all have seen in where the Roe and Wade case reversal in US, where it took them 50 years to systematically see then how they made that legal abortions as illegal. They said you can't have an abortion. The reversal of Roe and Wade case is something where you are denying the woman her right. So that is not fair.
Yeah.
And nobody was ready to talk about it because they're scared.
Yes.
Or because it's a political will. And that way you should think that whereas when you look at India, 71 we have the law, and in 21 we amended the MTP Act.
Okay.
We made it more liberal for medical indications and indications for the health of the women. So these are important aspects. And when you look at the women, it is not only uneducated or financially weak. All categories of women are getting violated.
Yes. Yes.
Educated, uneducated, rich, poor, even some doctors.
Doctors, ma'am, we see a
Yeah,
lot
we
of
see gynecologists,
gynecologists.
non-gynecologists, cardiologists, anesthetists, physicians. It is so very sad. And the small things like some of the women, if they were working and all, they want to go and buy something. Oh no, I can't buy. I have to ask my husband. Oh my God. Maybe out of affection, yes, when you're looking at the family,
Yeah.
the way you run and all, yes. But some amount of autonomy is very
Yes.
important. So that those aspects, and why probably there are cultural inhibitions, or I don't know what are the exact reasons, but even financially independent women are also being violated.
Yeah.
So there is something wrong. That's the mindset, maybe the cultural, the way you bring up a girl child, the family background, the cultural variations, the societal pressures, all these play act
Important.
on the girl growing up to be a stronger woman. And we sometimes unfortunately find that women are being used as an object of entertainment or whatever. I'm not a feminist or anything, but I feel the woman has to become stronger. Yes, she has a right to be beautiful, she has a right to be everything, but she has a right to be very sure of what she wants to do in
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So that sort of confidence should be given to the girls right from the childhood.
Yeah.
See, violence is right from womb to tomb. Sex selective abortions to female feticide. Those are all violence, no?
Violence. Yes.
Who is it who is doing? Now, it is not, if you go and penalize a doctor for doing it, you're not going to find much difference. You have to change the societal mind.
Yeah.
Why is the family going for a sex selection
Yeah.
in the first place? Why is it that they can't accept to have a girl child? And now look, unfortunate, our female ratio is going down.
No.
And that is not good for the country or for the society at large. There are not only in India, we find in China, Pakistan, there's so many Asian countries and some African countries. So we have to be very, very careful and very loud about trying to avoid all this. So these are all the violences against a girl child which is happening, which have to be prevented.
And very commonly we see, ma'am, whenever the girl is married, the pressure of getting into pregnancy is so high. That is, I think, the very minimum
Yeah.
of this is also violence, right? We don't give that opportunity to a girl to decide. They have to be physically fit, emotionally fit. They have to accept it, right? Financially fit also.
Yes.
Sometimes they want to finish their career. Sometimes they want to climb the ladder in their career. So I think that is a right of female, right, ma'am? So when you did this study from 9th standard to 12th grade, that was about infiltrating this concept into a young mind.
Young mind.
Yeah. And that was like, we got very good results in your researches where, people were aware, the kids were aware of what is happening.
The interesting part was there were many boys also who were in the program. One of the boys actually got up and asked one of our colleagues. He said, "Yeah, you are very right. You are telling us no to violence against girls. But what about us boys? We are also being violated."
Yeah.
So, yes, I agree. We should have no to violence against
Any gender.
both boys and girls. But the point is, the number of incidents of violence against girls and women is much more than
very, very high.
against boys.
Yeah.
So this doesn't mean that we are accepting a violence against a boy or a man, but
Yeah.
the incidence of this violence against women is much more. In fact, when you look at it also, it is said violence against women.
Yeah.
It is not telling no to violence by men.
Yeah.
Who is doing the violence?
Yeah.
Men. That is not being.
Yeah.
See, when we are talking about the topic,
It
that
is
also we are saying violence against women.
Yeah.
In fact, the UN and the other people, they are thinking to change the terminology, because
Okay.
who is inflicting the violence has to be come into the forefront, no?
Okay.
Not the person who is getting affected
inflicted,
by
yeah.
the
Yeah.
violence. So right from that issue to the management, there are problems.
So, ma'am, when you're this 30 years of experience talking to women, taking care of their, women health, we also come across not only this abuses or the way they see themselves when it's related to their health. How have you seen the change, ma'am, from the last 30 years till now? Have you seen that, females are becoming more aware about their health, or sometimes they consider, no, I'm going to be looked upon as a selfish person. I should not be doing this. And they keep their health backseat because, every phase,
Yeah.
when they enter into that menstruation, that phase starts is a different. When they go into pregnancy, post-pregnancy, perimenopausal, every phase is different because there are hormones. So do we need to blame the hormones too much, or do you think that these things are structurally there in our mind, in the mind of girls?
No, I think, Meenal, if you look at it, basically, when we were in school, in that age, the aspect of trying to go for a preventive health checkup, and taking care of your health was not a priority.
Yeah.
You go to the hospital or to the doctor only when you have an illness.
Yes.
So it was when you have a problem, when you have a disease, you go to the doctor. The preventive aspect and trying to take care of your health, all that was not, but they used to have a healthier lifestyle than now.
Yes.
Of course, 25 years back was a more healthier environment,
Then
less pollution, less contamination, less adulteration in the food and water and all. So they had a better life than we are. But of course, now the age expectancy is improving,
Yeah.
the disease burden is increasing. So, and at the same time, the awareness to take care of the health is also increasing. And when you look at it, still we find anemia is a big problem in
Yeah.
the country. More than how many, 77 or 78 years of independence, we still have not conquered anemia. We have been talking about anemia on the top of our voice over the buildings, but we are still not able to conquer anemia. What is the reason for these problems? Because one anemia there is going to lead to all the problems. To the right to the when the girl becomes pregnant, to when she delivers, maternal mortality. Our maternal mortality, of course, now we have been very lucky that India has gone a long way in reducing the maternal mortality rate to a 2 digit. We are now at 86 per 100,000 live births, which is a commendable figure. From what it was about it, I remember it's 500 to 700 to 300. So now we have reached a 2 digit figure. And of course, some of our states like Telangana, AP, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra have
little even more.
even lesser.
Sir.
And so this anemia contributes to maternal mortality,
Yes.
postpartum
Yeah.
hemorrhage.
Yeah.
And how is it if you had corrected the anemia in the adolescent girl, a healthier girl would have become a healthier woman.
Yeah.
And when she gets married, then when she gets pregnant,
Yeah.
she would not have had this anemia complicating pregnancy. So this is an example, but that awareness is improving. Lot of will from the political will, the government, the international organizations. See, MDG goals helped a lot. In the beginning, it didn't work, but towards the end, 2015 was the end. Then everybody MDG, what is MDG? Then SDG goals, 2030 came. Of course, we are still, Tedros was saying, yeah, 2030 is coming. The world, we are not going to achieve, reach the SDG. So some other thing will come, but we are on the path of trying to recover. So maternal mortality, anemia, then so many other things.
Yeah.
That gender equality is a very important factor, goal of SDG. And that gender equality is the important aspect of SDG goals. So unless you achieve that, you can't achieve many other goals.
Yes.
So it's be it literacy, be it health, everything. So that way, when you look at gender equity or equality, that gender neutral aspect of life is very important, and the awareness in women to put their health also as a priority. It doesn't mean that they need not. Women are always the
Givers.
givers who like to take care of their husbands,
Yeah.
their children. I think it's a natural, emotional, and whatever aspect. But they need to take care of their health
Yes.
also. When they are healthy, they are educated, they can take care of the family,
Family
better.
better. Yeah.
Because a loss of the woman is a loss to the family. And that is an irreparable loss. So women's health has to be given priority for the health of the family. And for that, the men also have to be very clear. The children also have to see that their
Mother is
mothers or other women in the family
Family
are
is
also
being taken care of.
care of. Education is going a long way in the awareness of how important it is to have these health checkups and health for all women.
But ma'am, do you also when I was a kid, when I was into my growing age, there were few things my parents were very concerned about. Like they would not let me go alone with a driver, and they used to make sure that someone from the family is there. Or after certain point of time at night, they wanted me to be protected. But after like 20-25 years, I have the same fear for my daughter. Do you think that this is going to be like this only, or in some point of time we will have a phase where we will reach where we will feel as mothers safe for our daughters?
I don't know if you recollect. I still remember when we were in school, we used to read about where the freedom fighters, Mahatma Gandhi saying, when a woman can walk in the midnight alone, then that is true independence. All that is still, I don't know, his dream is still not been possible, because it is not only in our country, in every country, so who is to be responsible? It has to be everyone, the society, the government, everyone combined has to take an action. And crime is there everywhere, and the violence against women is there everywhere. So when there is an involvement of society, then the policymakers, the police, and everyone together to combat crime in a proper way, then only we can make a difference. Yes, unless it is safe. We have seen so many incidents when Nirbhaya case happened, so many marches, protests, and all. But did that stop the 2019 Disha case in Telangana? No. Did that stop the 2025 Abhaya case in Calcutta? No, unfortunately. And every day you open the newspaper, you read 1 in 3 women is a statistics where they're affected by violence globally. 1 in 3 women, any sort of violence, and one every 10 minutes, and woman dies because of violence by an intimate partner, by a known person. Imagine the number of homicides. So how is it going to change? Probably women also need to be more stronger, make themselves physically more fit and stronger, and try to see how they can protect themselves. I mean, just because to show that we are stronger, we need not go walking in the middle of the night, but
Yeah.
we should be able to protect
Yes.
ourselves in any circumstances.
Yeah.
So
this,
physical,
yeah. If the situation is there, I
Yes.
should be strong enough to tackle it,
yes.
both physically and with the presence of mind, and
Yes.
with
And this is where we have to appreciate, the police department, and the cyber department have come up with so many apps and helpline numbers to help girls and women to be able to travel safely.
yeah.
Know all the chic apps
Yes.
and all such things.
Yeah.
There are a lot of apps.
There are lots of apps, and also I was traveling to Bangalore, ma'am, once, and they have something in their car put on.
Yes.
And then I was just checking that if I press this, and the driver was like, no, ma'am, if you press it, the nearest police station will be
Yes.
alerted.
Yes.
So that gives a sense of safety, that yes, at 10 o'clock at night, if you want to reach a
Yes.
place, yes, I know that I'm safe. Yeah, we are moving towards a better place, ma'am. But I think because you are into it, you are into Dheera, you feel a lot of see a women around you coming to you for help. Do you think that we have moved little better, so that let's give a positive note to people, seeing that yes, we are moving towards a better world?
Meenal, I really don't know whether we are really moving and where it's reduced, because different types of crimes are happening.
Yeah.
Okay, with every changing phase now, cybercrime has become a very big dating crimes, and these are the cyberbullying. The digital violence against women is the biggest problem now. That's why 2025 they have declared as no to any kind of digital online violence.
Yeah.
So we have to be extremely careful, and according to the time, I think the girls and women have to be updated to how to protect themselves in case of any emergencies. Okay, if somebody is there to help them, okay, but they should be given these sort of trainings, and these sort of all the points to help them, so that in case of a problem, instead of getting this thing, they should be alert to see how they can get help.
So the resources around
Yes.
them, they should be knowing that it's
Yes.
available. Yeah.
It's available, and how they can be utilized.
So, ma'am, moving forward, perimenopause, we all are now talking about it, but it's a difficult phase. It's again a beginning of a new journey. But how do you deal with females now coming with that phase, ma'am? Because that's again, I think, is living a new life, right? Because accepting age is not easy. Then, by the time you are settled, your kids are settled, and you are little financially stable, your health issues starts. So, how should we deal with it? Like not only as young doctors at the age of 40, 45, later on also, like after 50, after 60, how difficult it is or how easy it is.
Meenal, we have to understand now that our longevity has increased.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a way back in 1920s and all, the life span was about 25 years, 28 years, about 150 years back, to now almost 70 years. And women live 1 or 2 years more. That's the general lifespan, which the Indian lifespan. And of course, individually now we see 80s is quite a common figure which we hear. So, but the body physiology has to alter according to the age. So, most important thing people have to understand is that they need to have a healthy adolescent period and an adult life to have a healthy perimenopausal age. Girls have to be told and taught that they have to incorporate exercise in their day-to-day life, which is very important. When you look at 40 years back, you look at our grandmothers and all, they were more healthier. Why? Because those days the physical activity was more.
More. Yeah.
Right in the house activities, even cleaning the house to cooking or making some masalas, all these grindings and the all the physical activities which were linked to the household activities were forms of exercise
Yeah.
for the body,
Yes.
which kept them physically and mentally fit.
Yeah.
And they had a huge the joint family system was there, so there was emotional dependence which was catered to.
Yeah.
So there were mothers, there were grandmothers, aunties, uncles,
Yeah.
niece, and kids. So there were all age group interaction. So the senior lady could actually advise the young girls about what the problems in the pregnancy are,
Yeah.
and then the little older girls know how it is when
Yeah.
they become older. And even the old ladies used to tell the 40s and all how it is
Yeah.
to face menopause.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's why, when I was doing my MBBS and all, that time all these menopausal symptoms, hormonal changes, there was not much. Because I think women were so busy with the family, everything, they never had all these issues. They had a very good support system, which was, I think, was very important.
Important.
And now these nuclear families
Yes.
and all the gadgets have made all of us lazy to an extent. So everything has the click of a button. So that's why now physical activity has become very important, and it has become ineffective. That is leading into a lot of problems. And that's the reason now why we find, of course, obesity in the young girls and older women is also more. And that is leading to a lot of problems.
Problems. Yeah.
Metabolic problems like the PCOS or PMOS as now, that was never heard of 25,
Few years back.
30 years back. But now it is every alternate girl or woman who walks up and she says, I have this problem. So this sort of things is linked to this physical lifestyle
Yeah.
modifications. And even all, as I told you, I think the contamination, environment pollutions, this adulterations in the food, water, and nutrients, and the food you consume. There was an, I think, when you on the radio, you keep hearing in this FM radio. So they talk about the gas issues everywhere. They said nowadays nothing to worry. Families are not affected because everybody is doing Swiggy, Zomato. Nobody is
Yeah.
cooking. So, but that is leading to
Yes.
unhealthy food,
Yes.
consumption of unnecessary calories and unwarranted things in the diet. Fresh food is missing from the plate.
Yeah.
Vegetables and fruits have gone for a toss. So all these aspects, the nutrients in the food has gone, and that is leading to a lot of metabolic problems, and that is leading to all the issues in the perimenopause and menopause. So if they had a healthy diet, healthy lifestyle, because it's not only diet, your exercise, your physical exercise, which you don't start at when you're 40 or 45 when
Yeah.
you're reaching perimenopause.
Yeah. You have to
You are-
start it
you
long
are-
back.
I keep telling the young girls who come to me, 10 to 15-year girls, I said, are you walking? Are you exercising? Because you make your bones stronger now.
Yes.
Then you will
Yeah.
be stronger when you reach your perimenopause and
Perimenopause, yeah.
menopause. So those are important aspects. And of course, now cervical cancer prevention, the HPV vaccination, which we have finally managed to make the government introduce in the universal immunization program. So this is also preventive aspects, screening techniques. We know now that the incidence of breast cancer and all the other cancers are on the rise. So wherever there are screening methods, women should be able to utilize those screening tests to keep themselves healthy. And the emotional aspects is the family also has to be support. Okay, we have the menopause, probably we say sometimes even andropause is there. So probably both the husband and wife need to understand each other, because the needs of different age are different.
Different.
What you need as a teenager is different from what you need in your 20s and 30s, and what you need in your 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
So accordingly, we should be able to make those changes. And stress and mental health has become a big problem. So again, the ability to communicate, to talk, to discuss the issues and problems. I think everybody thinks, oh, I'm so stressed, I have this problem.
Yeah.
Those are not problems actually. Even I was thinking today, I was so stressed, so many things are happening and all. But then it has become, if you keep on thinking it's a stress, it will be a
Will be a
stress.
stress. Yeah.
So try to find and channel. We find even now the suicide rate has increased, unfortunately, because of peer pressure and so many things we
Yeah.
don't know. And the financial aspects. Today I had one patient, she was having a third pregnancy. Ideally, maybe 25 years back, I never used to even, I used to, because we were advocating family planning and small children norm and all. So slowly now we are moving towards where a more geriatric population, we're going the way of China, Japan and all, where they're having a bigger geriatric population. India was very strong. We were a superpower, economically strong, because our younger working generation is very high. But slowly we have now the birth rate is reduced to 1.7 to 2. In most of the states, our Telangana and AP, somewhere around 1.7. So this is, a few decades down, we're going to have a more geriatric population than the younger population. So we have to gear up to that. We have to see that we maintain the gender balance. Yeah, nowadays kids and families are very happy to have
One kid.
It's either one kid or no kid. They're happy with
Maybe.
dogs and cats.
Yeah.
So maybe we should encourage the younger generation to, along with their cats and dogs, they can have kids also, because the future of the
So it
society
depends on
and the country
Yeah.
as such also depends
depends on
because
the younger
every
mind.
age.
Yeah.
And you have a support system and tell them money is not everything. You may have all the money in the world, but when you are in your elderly age group and all, when you want help, your physical, your health or anything, the money is not only going to help you. You need somebody to use your money for your health. So that sort of support system is
has to
important.
be there.
That has to be important. You may be the richest person. You may having lot of money in your account and a lot of properties. But when you're sick, when you're down, there has to be somebody who will be able to use that money for your health.
Yeah.
I think those are the aspects now which we should focus on and handle things in the right way. Every age has a different problem. So try to see how best you can adjust. And emotional support is something, and have your own group. You have one group where your age group, and you have a younger generation also.
Yeah.
Always mingle with an younger
Younger
generation also, because that gives you a newer perspective.
Yeah.
That gives you freshness
Yes.
and then more happier experiences. So you should have this gender balances. So the menopausal women should have some
Young
teenage
friends.
and young friends also.
Yeah.
So it's not only menopausal, perimenopausal, old women. I think different age groups will bring different perspectives
Yeah.
together.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing such beautiful thoughts and your experience. And something that you have got into India and also taking it abroad is Dheera. It's really impressive, ma'am, because every step we should know that we have someone. So let us count. If at some point of time we are vulnerable, we cannot rely on us. We have someone
Yes.
reliable. We just have to reach it out. So thank you so much, ma'am, for giving this to my audience. Really appreciate. And to all my friends, before ma'am leaves this podcast, ma'am, if my audience may someone who needs a word of encouragement, who's going through something, what will be that? Even if one woman from this podcast who's listening, can change her life or herself, what would it be?
I think what I will tell is every person has some problem. But always remember, every problem has a solution. So think, if there's a problem, try to find a solution. Don't try to run away or escape from it. Every problem has a solution. Try to find the solution. I think that is a way forward.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So every problem has a solution, my dear friends, and try to find out. The answer will be near you only. You just have to find it out. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for my next episode. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was
Thank
so
you.
nice talking to you.